Professional performance from Oxford United. Clinical win. Little bit fortunate. Hello everybody, it's Ian here again from OUFC Fan View for another review of another Oxford United game. Little bit later than I normally would put these videos out, and that is because I myself, for once, made the long journey and actually attended an Oxford United game. Today, the U's were away at Carlisle. And why did I get off my lazy ass and actually attend a game? Well, Carlisle's always kind of been one of those bucket list grounds I wanted to go to. So now I have chalked it off. But Oxford travelled to Carlisle off the back of a very strange week. Absolutely spanked by Coventry in the FA Cup and dumped out of the EFL trophy by Wimbledon on Tuesday. It was two poor performances on the field. Things weren't going great off the field as well, with players leaving, important players leaving, like James Beadle, like Kyle Edwards. Stan Mills obviously getting that bad injury and having his season ended and going back to Everton. So it kind of felt, in a way, after that Wimbledon game, it felt very low being an Oxford fan. But maybe we've hit that bottom now and we've started to turn the corner because some new players have come in, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And Oxford travelled to this game needing a victory to stay hot on the heels of those chasing promotion at the top of League One. And thankfully, Oxford got that victory. A little bit of fortune along the way, but we'll get into all of that. But Oxford United have won this game, making it back-to-back away wins in League One. It finished Carlisle United 1, Oxford United 3. So we'll go over the team news. I'll do a review of the game and I will give my final thoughts. It may be a shorter review than I normally give because I don't do any vlogging or write any notes when I do watch a game live. I tend to do that when I'm sitting at home, so give it more of a lengthy review. So it will be a quicker review in that regard, but some of you may like that, and you can still jump to any point of the video that you like, because I do put timestamps down below. But if you do that, then please hit the like button, because that does help me out so much. And if you do like the content, consider subscribing. So let's have a look at that Oxford United lineup. It was still 3 at the back for Des Buckingham's side, but a big difference in the heart of that defence is Elliot Moore returning to the side, who was sorely missed in the last 2 cup games. A new face in goal, and that is Jamie Cumming, who joined on loan from Chelsea in the week. Josh McEachran is another one of those players that drops out of the side from that defeat to Coventry. He is replaced by Tyler Goodrham. Billy Bowden not in the squad at all. I haven't heard anything about that, so if you do know anything, let me know. But the other loan signing that came in the week as well, Tyler Bure, he is on the bench. Greg Lee also back on the bench, and he's finally returned from injury. Moving on to Carlisle United, it's been a tough season for Paul Simpson's Cumbrians. They sit 23rd in Sky Bet League One, but they are a better side when they play at Brunton Park as opposed to being on their travels. They picked up 14 of the 20 points they've amassed so far at home, and the Blues have brought in players themselves this week, and they've got players returning from injuries, so it's a much changed side. 5 changes from the side that lost at Exeter last time out. They've also got a new goalkeeper. It's a debut in goal for Harry Lewis, but most importantly for Carlisle is the return for their talisman in midfield, Owen Moxon, who is back from injury. Top scorer Jordan Gibson is in the squad but could only make the bench, which is a little bit of a surprise. Maybe he's nursing an injury. But it's a 3-5-2 for Paul Simpson's side, with Butterworth and Armstrong leading the line up front. So let's break into this game then. And first half, my goodness, what a dull game it was. Nothing was really happening. Carlisle, if anything, looked the more threatening side. Not that they threatened Cummings' goal too many times, but they just looked the more purposeful with their passing. Oxford was so passive when they had the ball. We've seen this time and time again, where it's just a matter of the defence kind of passing it around amongst themselves. Maybe Brannigan gets involved, maybe McGuane gets involved, but invariably they go a little bit forward and then they go back. So you have maybe strings of 15, 20 passes put together, maybe not even that many, and Oxford are only just at the halfway line and playing so slowly as well. You almost just wanted to say, just wake up, please, as someone shouted from the crowd. We've travelled a long way to be here. Can you play with a little bit more urgency? A really good chance on 22 minutes for Armstrong, where Whelan put in a cross for him, and he was, I think he was only about 8 yards out, and he makes a poor connection of it, and it goes easily into the gloves of Cumming. He should have done so much better with that strike. Just a minute later, McClarmont shrugged McGuane off the ball far too easily for my liking. It wasn't the first time that happened to McGuane, and as well as the passive play, there were a lot of mistakes from Oxford United, misplaced passes and almost people tripping over the ball at time. It was very sloppy for Oxford in this first half. Luckily on this occasion they couldn't find Armstrong with a through ball, but you were just sitting there thinking, just hoping that something would happen. And we've seen this so many times this season, where Oxford just seemingly doing nothing, and then all of a sudden they just flick into gear. And on 38 minutes, just maybe a couple of minutes before, Oxford did start to pass the ball with a little bit more purpose. You saw the likes of Goodrham getting on the ball a bit more, Rodriguez trying to get on the ball and drive forward, and it was Rodriguez who was heavily involved in this chance. The ball played forward, and it was a brilliant dummy by Ruben Rodriguez that freed up Harris on the right hand side. It was a long range effort from Harris. It went behind, but it did take a deflection. Carlisle feel hard done by because they do not feel that corner should have been given, but it was given, and that is where Oxford got their goal. Ball to the back post from Cameron Brannigan. Moore had peeled round to the back stick, headed it back across goal, across the 6-yard box. I think it hit Moxon, and then a load of players just sort of stood and watched, and Harris just thought, well, I'll just put it in. And that's exactly what he did. He just hooked the ball into the net. 39 minutes, nothing in this game. Oxford United find the goal, and it's Mark Harris again. And just like we've seen in previous games, once Oxford do get a goal, they do play with a lot more confidence, and you did see them passing the ball around with so much more poise once they did get their goal. And you saw Tyler Goodrham getting into the game. He had a good long range effort, which was well saved by Lewis in the Carlisle goal. But right on the stroke of half-time, Carlisle should have been level. Cameron Brannigan had an easy chance to clear the ball. He tries to be too clever and play it off Neil for Carlisle, but it actually just hits Neil and stays in play, and Brannigan falls on the floor, and Neil's got the ball in the penalty area. He squares it back to McClarmont, but McClarmont's shot is dragged just wide of the post. Really, again, I just can't say, sloppy play from Cameron Brannigan. You'll see how this happens again later on in the second half. I don't understand why he's just not smacking that into the stands, even put it behind from a corner. Clear your lines, don't try to be too clever. But it didn't, but luckily for Oxford, it didn't go in. We cleared the corner, and we got to half-time 1-0 up. So yeah, Oxford 1-0 up at half-time. Did they deserve to be? No, not really. But Carlisle themselves didn't do too much to warrant being ahead at half-time. It's just a lack of cutting edge in this Carlisle side. I do think McClarmont and I do think Butterworth looked pretty good in the first half. Very tricky players, low centre of gravity. They were gliding past some Oxford players and creating space. I think Carlisle will be excited to see what those players can bring for the rest of the season. From Oxford's point of view, I've already said it, we've seen this so many times where seemingly just playing slow, playing passive, and then all of a sudden it just clicks into gear and they find a goal. Goals change games, and you're hoping that Oxford can come out and kill this game off in the second half. Exactly what happened in the second half. Carlisle a bit sloppy. Oxford kind of just played in a role of picking them off, and dream start for Oxford United, getting the second goal after 47 minutes, so just 2 minutes after the restart. But I've got to say, it is shrouded in controversy. It's Mark Harris again. It's Finn Stevens who plays a ball in behind. Harris gets there before Lewis, rounds the goalkeeper, just about stays on his feet, just about got the ball on his feet, and he puts it into the back of the net. Some people thought that he'd even put it wide, as it did hit the post before going in. But that is Harris. He's in a great run of form now. All 4 goals in 3 games in all competitions. But the talking point of this goal is Harris offside? And I have to say, I've seen the replays and he looks offside to me. Show me evidence to the contrary, that's fine, but I think he's offside. It's very harsh on Carlisle. You definitely got the sense of, once the boos stopped ringing around, that it was kind of a sense of here we go again for the Carlisle fans and the Carlisle players. And Oxford just sat into a period of just being able to just sit off them, wait for them to make a mistake and pick them off. That's pretty much how the game went. Oxford just trying little through balls in behind, and Carlisle too frantic when they had the ball and just taking too many errors. And Oxford United made it 3-0 on 68 minutes. It is the pick of the goals in this game. It's Elliot Moore who starts the move, driving the ball out from defence. We saw something similar for the first goal against Charlton. He drove the ball out of defence. Wonderful through ball to Tyler Goodrham. Tyler Goodrham's in a foot race to the defender. He wins the ball, gets to the edge of the box. We've seen this from Tyler Goodrham. It's starting to be a trademark goal for him as he curls the ball in to the far corner from the edge of the box from Oxford's left-hand side. 3-0 to Oxford. This game seemed absolutely done and dusted at this point. 3 minutes later, though, Carlisle get themselves back into the game on 71 minutes. Gibson, who came off the bench, looked very lively when he came on, and he caused Oxford a lot of problems down the left-hand side, Oxford's right-hand side, and he drifted in on the left, had a good shot at goal. Cumming made a good save, but the ball stayed in play by the byline. And like what I complained about Brannigan in the first half, Ossian Smith really sloppy at the back. Just allows Armstrong to keep the ball alive. I don't know what, he's almost like run past the ball. I don't know why Ossian Smith's just not going in there, tackling Armstrong, putting it out for a corner, clearing the lines. But Armstrong just keeps the ball alive, plays it back into the centre of the goal. There's McClarmont who can slot it home from about the penalty spot through a crowd of players. And out of nothing, Carlisle have a lifeline. And you couldn't help but be twitchy as an Oxford United fan from this point forward. And whilst we did still look a threat on the break, Carlisle themselves, mainly through Gibson, who was a constant threat on the left-hand side, created problems. There was one that whistled just past the post. He forced Cumming into a save as well. But then on 85 minutes, Carlisle really should have got another goal back. The pick of the chances. But it was a wonderful save on debut for Cumming to keep it 3-1 to Oxford United. It was a ball played into the box from the left-hand side from Gibson, and it's come right the way across. It's almost on the 6-yard line, about 8 yards out from Garner, and he just, luckily for Oxford, he doesn't make good contact on the ball, and it just kind of loops towards the goal. A slightly better contact and that ball goes in, but it allows Cumming time to dive across goal. He saves it. Oxford survive. Oxford hang on to the 3-1 victory to go back down south with 3 points. Well, as I say, clinical performance, professional performance, definitely tinged with a little bit of luck, but hey-ho, we'll take it. And that brings me on to my final thoughts, and let's start by talking about the host Carlisle United. And I've got to say, I saw similar things from Oxford United last season when we were going through our bad run, where there were many games where we were in control, not necessarily looking really threatening, but looking decent and looking the more likely side to score, which is what Carlisle did in the first half. But then all of a sudden, the opposition gets a couple of chances, they take one, and you find yourself behind in the game. And you just have that feeling, crowd, players alike, of here we go again, and everyone's feeling a little bit sorry for themselves. And that was what I really felt from this side. There were some good performances in there. As I said, in the first half, I thought McClarmont and I thought Butterworth looked really good players. I thought Armstrong was a decent option, getting the ball long to him as well as a target man. But I got to say, the key guy was Gibson coming off the bench. He looked a different class from everybody else. He's such a... No wonder he's the top scorer, and I don't know why he didn't start. I'm guessing he wasn't fit enough to start the game, but different dynamic to Carlisle when he came on. He stood out on that left wing, and he caused Oxford no end of problems. I do wonder why Owen Moxon plays as a holding midfield player. Isn't he more of an offensive player? Isn't he going to be better playing further forward? But maybe if there are any Carlisle fans watching this, you can let me know in the comments. But I would say there's still hope that you can turn this around. I would say you just need a little bit of luck to go your way, a little bit of fortune, and a little bit more belief in those players. But unfortunately, that does only come from winning games. And as I know from that 17-game winless run Oxford had last season, all of a sudden finding a win can be quite difficult. But I'm interested to know your thoughts on Paul Simpson. Obviously, he's a bit of an Oxford legend. Always like to know about him, the team, and whether you think you can stay up this season. But as well, good luck for the rest of the season. But let's turn attention to Oxford United now. Very good win for Oxford United. I'm not so sure it was a great performance, but it will be, Des Buckenham's always going to come out and say it was an excellent performance, but it was a good win, and that is all that matters at this stage of the season. It was very tough to watch at times in the first half, and even had people moaning quite vociferously in the crowd, and the guy next to me was even going on about how boring it is, which did surprise me a little bit, and how sick he is of this boring style of play. And I get it, you do have to be a bit patient watching Oxford, that they do look a little bit passive. And actually, even my wife, who I dragged to the game, whose football knowledge is not exactly stellar, was just asking me, why are Oxford playing so passive? Why are they playing so negative in the first half? If she can see it, I don't know why the players can't see it that way and step it up. But it was tough to watch, but obviously got the goal, and then things just did get a lot better. Let's start with the man up top, Mark Harris. Great to see him in the goals. I thought, no one could question his work rate, and I've been constantly praising him for his work rate, but when you're a striker, you need to put the ball in the back of the net, and he's done that. Do we need a striker to come in? Of course we do, but it's wonderful to see him scoring goals. Let's start with the man in goal, Jamie Cumming. He looked like he's been our goalkeeper for the whole season. It was a seamless move between the sticks for Jamie Cumming. Made some great saves in the game, looked very assured in the game. He looks like he's got the time-wasting gig right down as well, but smooth at passing the ball out from the back, and looks like he's going to be a very good loan signing that we've brought into the side. I thought the two centre-backs were immense today, because I don't think Smith, Stevens and Bennett had particularly great games, but I thought Elliot Moore and Kieran Brown were superb. Worried about Marcus McGuane's form. I thought he was a little bit iffy today. I don't think he looks as assured on the ball, and again, he's just not... He doesn't seem like he's driving the game forward for me, which is when he's at his absolute best. And there's a couple of times where he looked a little bit unsure of himself out there. Maybe it's just a little bit of an off period for Marcus McGuane. Maybe not too much to worry about. We didn't see anything of Tyler Burey. Hopefully we see more of him in a few weeks. And hopefully we do get some more players through the door. Because once again in this first half, you could not fail to notice the lack of pace in this Oxford United side. But do give credit to Ruben Rodriguez and Tyler Goodrham, because they were two guys that in the first half definitely did get on the ball at times and try to make things happen when other players were kind of not prepared to take the risks in the first half. But all in all it was important was to get a win in this game, and Des Buckingham's got that win under his belt, and they've got another week now to get these players on the grass, to get the new players integrated, and to bring new players in. Very curious to see how many players we're going to bring in before the Northampton game. And very curious to see if we go back to 4 at the back. I suspect we will in this Northampton game. I expect to see Oxford go back to like a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 in that game. I just think that with with maybe Josh Murphy coming back as well, and Tyler Burey with another week's training under his belt, I think Oxford will want to try and hit Northampton with a bit more pace than what we had in the side. And I think that he'll want to play wingers rather than wing backs. But also good to see Greg Lee back. Fantastic to see him finally back on the field for Oxford United. If he stays fit, he's going to be a vitally important member during the run-in. Leave your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Congratulations to all those people that travelled. I've got Carlisle ticked off my bucket list. No need to go there ever again, although I did enjoy it. It has to be said. It was always fun to do a long road trip. And yeah, let me know what players you would like to see come into the club. I'm guessing a striker. No one's mentioned a striker before. I think maybe people might talk about a striker, but positive stuff from Oxford United. Enjoy your week of zero stress, and I'll be back to do a review of the Northampton game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.